Yeah. Les, you're on mute.
Chairman, we have to start now.
Councillor Huss is just joining. Right. Les still seems to have technical problems. I don't know why he has problems. Okay, let's make a start, please. Item 1, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence at all? Fiona?
I haven't received any.
Yeah, and I've not received any either.
Okay. I'm sorry, Sadie, I forgot you in the bottom corner. Any declaration of interest at all? No? I'm not aware of any urgent matters. Are you, Fiona? No?
No.
Right, minutes of the meeting held. You happy with the signing was an accurate record? Yes? Fiona, I don't know when I'm going to sign all these meeting minutes.
Yeah, I think it's just by email almost. So.
Okay. Right, model code of conduct. Item 5. Fiona, do you want to introduce
Yeah,
this?
thank you, Chairman. Committee will recall we've been waiting for a new draft model code of conduct since the report by the Committee of Standards in Public Life, which was published a couple of years ago now, January 2019. You'll also recall the review recommended some legislative changes to go alongside the new model code, which was to strengthen the standards regime. So the big ticket items there, as far as we're concerned, really were the presumption. We needed a change of legislation to bring in a presumption that councillors were acting in an official capacity in their public conduct. And the other issue was more the teeth of the regime and the recommendations to bring in some sanctions, primarily for local authorities to be given the power to suspend councillors without allowances for up to 6 months, and then an appeals process on top of that. The other issues were that the parishes should have to adopt the same code of conduct as the principal authority. So none of those legislative changes are on the horizon yet, as far as I'm aware, but that's probably hardly surprising. It's probably not seen as a big priority at the moment. There has, however, been significant amount of consultation in regard to this new model code. The LGA held 4 webinars and that had over 1,000 participants, and they received 1,600 written responses also in relation to it. It was agreed by their board of councillors back in the beginning of December, and it was published to us just before Christmas. So I hope you've had a chance to look at the new model code, and I'd very much welcome your views and observations. I think overall it is to be welcomed. It addresses some of the advances in technology and online communication. There's more detail as regards standards of conduct. There's a bit more clarity as to interests. And of course, the big advantage would be the consistency across all councils if it's adopted widely. We're still, however, waiting for supplementary guidance to go alongside the code, including the use of social media, which is why I didn't bring back the social media guidance this time, because I understand that's coming along. And as I've said, we don't yet know what legislative changes might take place. In section 6 of the report, we did set out the possible options, and I'm recommending that we do an exercise of engagement with local stakeholders, including the district councillors and the parish councillors and town councillors, so that we can get their feedback and come back to the first committee meeting after the elections, which I think will be in June. The code of conduct is part of the constitution, as you know, and any changes will ultimately need to be agreed by full council. And therefore, it's essential that I do consult with the councillors the councillors who will be here post-election. And there is going to be a wider review of the constitution post-election, so it'll tie in. So obviously very welcome to hear what you think about the new model code if you've got any views about it. But I think the main recommendation would be to do a period of consultation and engagement and then come back post-election.
Joe,
Thank you, Chair.
Joe.
You're on mute. Thank you. Just to let you know that the town council in Tadley are ahead of the game. And it came up on our committee in January. I did raise the concern that by adopting it, which is what was proposed, we were ahead of the borough council, even consider it in standard. But they did decide to adopt the local LGA code of conduct, but obviously to review when the borough decides what code of conduct they were going to adopt. So obviously there weren't any concerns being expressed in Tadley about accepting it. But I'm sure that, you know, there may be others who have more concerns, but I'm sure we were happy to do any consultation. But anyway, we were ahead of where it was. I think Nikki had obviously had an email to tell her that it had been adopted. Basically, it was on the agenda and we'd agreed it before we could move any further. So just for your information.
Thank you. Any further questions for Fiona? You have a recommendation in front, sorry.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. Sorry, Chair.
Can you hear me now?
If you could repeat, thank you.
Any questions for Fiona?
Oh.
No? Are you
Martin Slatford has his hand raised.
Didn't see that. Martin.
Okay, I think I would also comment that I think that it is a very sensible code. I like what I see. I think that when we do the consultation, we need to be very clear. There's two elements. One is, should the district council adopt the code? And the second one is the education of and the adoption by town and parish councils. So when I was listening to Fiona just now, the consultation appeared to be the adoption of the code for Basingstoke. I think it is clear we need to make the point about parish and town councils who have the ability to adopt it independently. And we need to sell the idea to parish and town councils. So I recommend that we do engage with the parish and town councils through the district association meetings and to present to that. And I would welcome Fiona's presentation at that meeting, because I think it's very clear that you can't actually investigate conditions or complaints unless you understand the model code. So having the same model code which can be adopted would be good. I think the final point, I'm sorry I'm talking too much, but the final point is there's been very little about the model code that has come out through NALC, National Association of Local Councils, or through the Hampshire Association to parish and town councils. So it's very much below the radar, possibly because of COVID, but I think it's important that it is something that is considered and carried forward in that area.
Any of the parish councils want to come back on that? No. Sure? Okay. Jack.
One additional thing that might be worth considering, Fiona, in a few weeks' time, nominations close for elections. It might be an ideal opportunity that any candidate putting themselves forward is given a copy of the model code going forward. Ultimately, if successfully elected, they will have to abide, you know, in theory, they will have to abide by that code. So why not get it in front of their faces very early on, saying, you know, no, you're a candidate, there's no guarantees, but should you be successful, this is the standard of which you are expected to uphold. So I think it would be a good opportunity. And likewise, you can offer the opportunity for consultation even at that stage to say, if you've got any thoughts and feelings on it, let us know, because when you know, whoever is successful post May has got the opportunity to shape and approve as soon as possible in the full councils that follow.
Good idea.
Right. As far as the training and that sort of thing, I remember when we first started way back, when it first introduced, I had to go on around with the chief executive in those days, with groups of parish councils and discussing it with them. I have to say, occasionally we had some less than positive responses, but it was all right in the end. Are you happy with the recommendation 1 to 3? Yes.
Yes.
Right, thank you, Fiona.
Thank you.
Right, item 6, complaints reports. Again, Fiona.
Yeah, it's the usual standard complaints update report. I don't have anything to add to the
Anybody any
actual
questions on it?
paper.
No? Sure. Right. Item 7.
Right, can I ask that the latest complaints don't have the year on the report? Earlier ones do. It would be easier if the year was included, please.
Of course it would be, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Absolutely. Draft annual report. Have you read it or enjoyed it and approved
No.
it?
Yeah, it's whether there's any amendments to it or it'll go to council post-election at some point for approval.
Okay. Approved as a draft report, it goes to council. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Recruitment of independent person and independent standard assessors. Again, Fiona.
Sorry, yes. So I'm just seeking so we've had some vacancies carried for a few months now. I've been waiting to see what I thought about future recruitment, whether we needed to proceed. Having spoken to the Deputy Monitoring Officer over the last few months, there has been quite a lot of work for the independent standards assessors, and we're also there are some appeals in the process as well, so that requires a different independent standards assessor to consider the appeal. So on reflection, I think my recommendation would be to proceed with a new recruitment process. We're looking for 1 independent person and up to 2 independent standards assessors. The information packs and recruitment process were previously agreed back in 2018 and 2019 by the committee. I've just suggested, I think what the process has been previously is that the interview panel recommendations would then come back to standards committee before it then goes to council. If that's the way you want it to continue, that's fine. But my sort of experience previously has been that it goes straight from the recruitment panel to council, and that we tell people on the committee in between times, so there's no delay. But it's obviously a matter for you. But I think it might streamline, get the recruitment done a bit quicker if we're not waiting for a committee cycle to get it to council. The only other suggestion was, I don't think it's appropriate for myself or the Deputy Monitoring Officer to be part of the interview panel. I think it's quite right we're there as an advisor to the panel. I just wanted to, I think that was the case on one of the recruitments, but the other, it suggested that we were actually part of the decision making, which I don't think is appropriate. So I would suggest that was just amended slightly.
I don't see the point of coming back and waiting for us to take a view on the recommendations of the candidates. We would hardly say why and go back on that. Surely it should be streamlined, go straight to council and report it to the meeting in this stands committee. You've got some people set up to do the job. What are we going to do? Nothing. Just information only, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that would be my view.
You happy with that?
Yes, Chairman.
Councillor Putty trying to speak, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that because seeing is that it is best for Fiona or whoever from the legal side to be as an advisor and not to take part in the interview panel, you see, because this is one of the things that I was looking for. And I was going to really request that this is where we go, because having somebody who is looking at monitoring as well as taking part in the interview, it really makes it a little bit difficult for the panel members, really, because we tend to really then get a little bit, not confused, but really not get the right way to go about it. So I think Fiona is right, and I agree with that.
Okay, you happy with that? Fiona, have you got any timeline on this?
No, but we're not going to probably get it done for the next, because of the elections. It's probably going to be a 2-month, 3-month process, probably.
Okay. You just keep us up to date. What's happening?
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
If you keep it up to date on what's
Yes,
happening.
we'll do. Yeah.
So you're happy with the with that? What Fiona proposing? Good. Item 9, works programme. You have it in front of you. Anybody got any comments? Deadly silence. Yes. Right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Can I add that,
Yes.
sorry, within the report, on the second page,
Sorry, which report, please?
your draft report, I think to include engagement with parish and town councils over the model code would be an appropriate thing to include, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, fine. No problem. Good idea. Right. We don't need exclusion of press and public, do we? As far as I'm aware.
Nope.
No confidential items, no?
Nope.
No. Oh. That must be the end of the meeting. Michael, anyone else got anything else? That was really difficult. Thank you for taking the trouble. And